and check out the hives. Rather a nasty, windy, damp day, I have to say, but grass has certainly grown up with all this rain. Well, we don't have any chickens at the moment. Keith managed to get himself topped by a fox, so that was a little bit unfortunate for him. But we do have another load in the incubator, so hopefully that's going to be coming out fairly soon. Okay, I need to explain what I'm doing. I'm going to go and just check the hives to see what state they're in. We lost all the bees to the Asian hornet. Now I'm expecting all sorts of wax moth and goodness knows what else. Oh, it's very overgrown and spiky, of course. Hopefully there are no wasps' nests in here. Oh, there is one wasp. Okay, evidence of a wasp's nest, but that's an old one, and we just got some wax in there. Now that's old wax, and I've been talking to a chap I know, beekeeper, and he says that that is what is actually best for catching a wild swarm. So at least that doesn't appear to have been infested with mice and wax moth, which is the other big problem. Where did that wasp go? Hopefully it's fallen off. Yeah. Let's just put this back on, put you over there a second. And as expected, no bees. Pussycat. Right, let's go and check the other one. What I'm probably going to do is take the hives to another beekeeping place. And we'll do some splitting. That's going to be coming up a little bit later in the video. Right, do you think there are mice in there somewhere? There could well be. There seems to be a nest of sorts in there, and we are quite interested in having a look. Well, that was one mouse. Oh, looks like there might be another one. Yep, oh, pussycats. Well, spoiled those mice's day, I guess. Honestly, number 3, you're playing with your food. Okay, I'm going to set off because we're going to go and meet up with a friend of mine who is a beekeeper, and we're going to go and split some colonies. So that's about an hour and a half's drive, so I shall see you on the other side.
What if I told you that you can take one bee colony, split it in half, and within just a few weeks, they'll create a brand new queen from scratch?
So we're off to suited and booted, go and have a look at all of these hives. I'm not quite sure where they are. He seems to be driving down. He said let's put our suits on a decent wear way because he's allergic to bee stings, and very sensibly he's put 2 on. Right, where are the first hives? These are wonderful cork oaks, and you can see they've got the numbers on. I'm guessing that's the year that they take the cork off. I think it's once every 9 years, something like that. And yeah, Really impressive. Beautiful trees. And here we have the hives. See, standing in front of bees is not a good idea because you get in their way. And I'm very much here to do learning today.
We start by setting out the boxes that we're going to split the hives into, these being empty ones of course, behind the hives where the colonies are already established. So you don't have to go out and buy queens and no special equipment's needed, just the bees doing what they've always done. This is part of our journey out here in rural Portugal, where we're learning how to work with nature instead of working against it. And today we're going to be splitting multiple hives, not just to grow the apiary, but to let the bees raise their own queens, and they'll be adapted to this exact environment. Then we begin to open up the hives, starting at one end, and we'll just work our way down the line. And what we want to see is nice healthy colonies, and we'll choose some different frames with honey and with brood and larvae and so forth, and we'll put them into the smaller boxes and cap them off.
Ooh, yeah. Cool. Do you want to take this one out as well?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, now they're excited.
Yeah, it just.
Okay, well, it's got some pollen.
Yeah, it's bee bread.
Yeah, yeah. And larvae in there as well, nice.
Yeah, and now we have to find with one with day.
Every colony is different, and some are notably more feisty, shall we say, than the others. And I wonder whether you can guess how many times I actually end up getting stung during the course of this video.
Nice. Yeah, got some larvae, yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, but to make a new swarm, you need to put the clothes and the eggs of the day.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, sure. So, because they're going to make the new queen from a fresh egg.
And let one board. Maybe
Okay, so yes. Yeah.
Maybe the queen is here on this frame.
Yeah, there's the queen. Was that a queen cell down at the bottom?
Yeah.
Or was that a queen?
No, it's the fake one. No, you can put that one on the side and remove.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So just go down the run.
Okay.
Nice. Wow. I've got some comb here.
It's huge.
Yeah. Got lots of space. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh.
This is quite an active one, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, this one is cool.
Honey. Ouch. One sting.
Where?
Yeah, just on my shoulder.
Yeah, you need to put some extra color.
Wow. They have to be quite clever to get through it. I think if they manage it, it's probably...
Oh.
Wow, look at that. Wow.
A strong colony doesn't want to stay as one in nature. It would swarm, so half the bees leave with the queen and the rest stay behind to raise a new one. So splitting a hive is us basically copying that process. It prevents swarming, it increases hive numbers and gives you new queens for free. But the real question is, how do they actually make a queen?
Oh.
Wow.
Moly.
And again.
This one will go born faster than that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's more dark.
So the darker
It
is...
means it's coming born.
Bees are endlessly fascinating, and really you have to think of them as being, I suppose, like individual cells in a body, and think of the hive as being the overall animal. Every bee in the hive actually starts exactly the same, so it's got the same genetics, and the difference between a worker bee and a queen is just food. When the colony loses its queen, they panic, I guess, for want of a better word, and they look for larvae that are less than 3 days old. Then they feed it only royal jelly, and that one change turns a normal bee into a queen, bigger, fertile, and able to run the entire colony. You can really see them flying around us now, and it's quite an adrenaline buzz. And yeah, all the sound that you can hear is actually from them buzzing around my head. So here's what we're doing. We're taking frames from a strong hive, some with eggs and very young larvae, and this part's critical. If you don't have any young larvae, you don't get a queen. And then some capped brood to keep the population building, and a frame of food and enough bees to support everything that all goes into a new hive box. So the bees, of course, they go out and forage and they collect pollen from the flowers, and they also collect nectar. And the nectar, what they do is they fan their wings over it and they slowly drive the moisture off, and that is what becomes honey. And once they've got it to the right, how shall we say, consistency, they cap it off, and that then serves as their food stores going down the road.
You have to put new wax.
New wax.
You have to
So it
change-
gives them more space.
Yeah.
Space is the number one driver of them swarming.
If
Yeah.
you give to him space, okay, food.
Yeah. So that's why we put supers on. You know, more layers, and then that gives them more space. Yeah.
There's no guarantee, because if the weather turns bad, or if there aren't enough drones, or if something goes wrong during mating flights, the whole thing can fail. So you're not just splitting bees, you're taking a risk and letting nature decide.
Food.
Capped. Yeah, it's mainly nectar, isn't it?
Why not?
Over the next few weeks, they'll start building queen cells within days. Well, around day 16, a new queen will emerge, and then she'll leave the hive. She mates mid-air with multiple drones, and if everything goes right, by about a month later, you'll start to see new eggs, and that's when you know it worked. In a few weeks' time, we'll find out which of these splits succeeded, and which didn't. And that's the reality of working with nature. You don't control it, you work with it. And if you want to see how this turns out, and whether we do get a new queen or 3 from these hives, stick around. Please do like and subscribe, and as ever, thanks very much indeed for coming on the journey.
It's very light, this one. It's just not stable. Get rid of its anti-varroa strips. For those who don't know, varroa is a nasty parasite of bees. Oh yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, all good. No, I was just saying it's really interesting to repeat and repeat and repeat the process, and also to see the differences in the hives. Oh dear. Not so strong. I thought this one felt very light.
Eu cresço, depois é assim, qualquer enxame que tens aqui, João, está 10 vezes mais forte que os meus. Andei a tratar, foda-se, também tem nojo. Até metem nojo. Essas coisas que eu logo não tenho, daqui a 15 dias para fora aumentar. Botas abaixo.
Okay, now it is time to transport them to their new place, and they've got to be at least a kilometre away, otherwise they sort of just go back to their old hives.
Once we have relocated them to their new site, which is about 3 kilometres away from where we actually took them, we open up the front of the hives again, and they are free to explore their new surroundings.
If you enjoyed coming along on that bee video, it was a pretty fun thing to do, actually, to go through so many hives at the same time, and to see them all in their different various states of health. And Rui was saying to me that, yeah, you really do need to look on a bee colony as a living thing in itself, and the individual bees more as the cells of the I can't say that, and see the bees more as the cells within the organism. I thought that was quite an interesting way to look at it. Anyway, for those of you who were guessing as to how many times I got stung 5 times through the suit. Anyway, it's supposed to be good for warding off arthritis, and it's not actually prescribed because of the risk of anaphylaxis, but yeah, with any luck, a few stings might ward off some joint pain going forward. Anyway, thanks very much indeed for watching, and I shall see you in the next time. Please do like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff, and take care. Well, I've been doing an awful lot of strimming recently. The weather has been fairly foul, and I also managed to break my toe, so that's actually put me out of action for a bit, which is why there hasn't, I'm afraid, been a huge amount of filming going on. But as soon as I could get my boots back on, I've been out and going through the various terraces, and what I want to do now is I've just got, not a huge amount, of clover. This is a red clover, and I've previously planted it with some success. And of course it's a nitrogen fixer, and it'll give forage for the bees. But yeah, so as you can see, this is the area, my rewilding area, that I have been going through. And I've also got places like this, which were just all brambles. And further down, this is what I call the arboretum. So I've been going through that. So yeah, I just need to be chucking some seeds out now. So this really is an ideal time to be doing this, because it's due to rain tomorrow, and the rain will push all the seeds down, hopefully in contact with the soil, and get them germinating. This, in fact, is the clover that's establishing itself nicely. And of course, apart from the bees and the nitrogen fixing nature, it's also good forage for any animals that we eventually get. You don't need a huge amount, because once it gets going, it's all going to establish, and it'll then start setting its own seed, and so life goes on. But it's also a very pretty flower, I do like it. The little almond tree that I planted, actually grew this one from seed, is flowering nicely. I don't know what its chances of having been pollinated are. We shall see whether we get any fruit, I guess. Why can I hear a dog up there? Look at these old stairs. I'm gonna have to find a way through there at some stage, which is going to mean taking out some of these oaks. It'd be a shame to let them be pulled completely to pieces by the roots. It's not quite a before and after, but you can certainly see either side of the wall what happens if you let it go. This is actually, although it looks like quite a lot, is a fairly small bit that I shall come back to another day. I wonder where that came from. I think we'll take that back down to the house. It's not actually from a supermarket that we use, funnily enough. Anyway, I think that's enough planting. I'm going to go and sort the tractor out, but I think that's probably going to be in another video.